Are you ready for us to go live?
I'm ready.
Okay, with that, it will be live in 3, 2, 1.
Music hold ended. Well, hi, everybody. Good to have you with us at 328 Cannon. We are in the swamp, Washington, D.C. I'm your Congressman, Mark Alford. Glad to have you with us. We are streaming on all platforms, or at least trying to, X, Facebook, Instagram. What else, Will? Is that it? Oh, YouTube. We're on YouTube as well. Will's our comms director. I got people in our office right here. I've got our chief of staff, Mike, and then the company Amplify, which helps us put on the town hall. We have done this numerous times in the 2.5 years that I've been in office. I think maybe 8 times, maybe 10, where 4 times a year we get on the phone, we call out random numbers within our district. Tonight, we are calling 40,000 different constituents in the 4th Congressional District. Now, keep in mind, we have 772,047 individuals. Those aren't households, but individuals in the 4th Congressional District. So we're trying to reach a wide spectrum of people, and I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, I want to hear from you tonight. We are streaming across all platforms. If you want to join us online, maybe you are listening right now by phone and you want to get online as well, go to our handle on all these platforms is at Rep Mark Alford, at Rep Mark Alford. This really allows us to reach many, many more people. I know a lot of you want to have face-to-face meetings, town halls. I think about a month ago, we had this Mondays with Mark concept. We have done that numerous times. Look, folks, I have had in-person meetings, 92 of them in 2.5 years. I love meeting with people, but I think this is the best way that we can have a civil conversation. And to do that, we need your questions. So if you will press *3, you can ask a question. If you press *6, that will subscribe you to a newsletter. I hear people calling our office out in the lobby right now. It's not going to do any good to call our office right now, folks. I'll give those numbers later. You can get some help in our district, whether you have benefits for VA, Social Security, anything like that, maybe a passport issue. We can help you with that, but that's not the number to call. The number to call is we've sent it out to you. You can go to our website, alford.house.gov, and you can get online there as well. So I'm hoping we have more than 100,000 people either watching or listening tonight, far more than we can have at a little coffee shop in Belton. Although I did enjoy answering your questions that some 4 weeks ago, an hour and a half. Again, press *3 to ask a question. That's *3 to ask a question. *6 to subscribe to our newsletter. We have an incredible newsletter that goes out every other week, and it's chock full of information that we do here on Capitol Hill, but also our success stories in our district. You may not know this, but we have 3 offices in our district, one in Raymore, one in Lebanon, and one in Columbia. And our caseworkers sold $4.5 million to constituents like you who the federal government's been holding on to their money, whether it's Social Security benefits, disability benefits, veterans benefits. Our caseworkers are actually working for you to return that money to you. So we're proud of them. We're proud of the work we're doing here in Washington, D.C. You may not know this since I've spoken to you last through one of these town halls. We are now on the Appropriations Committee. Last term, our first term in the 118th Congress, we were on Armed Services, Small Business, and Agriculture. We were able to do a lot for our district. Look, we helped get $144 million for new barracks for Fort Leonard Wood. We helped get the B-21 program committed to Whiteman Air Force Base. That's coming in a couple of years. We're very proud of that. On the ag side, we did get a farm bill passed in committee. We didn't get it passed on the House floor. Maybe we can dip into that, why that didn't happen. But we are still working for you. In small business, I'm very proud of this. Even though I got on an appropriations committee, it was very tough to get on that. It's the most powerful committee in Congress. They wanted me to be on the small business committee because I realize as a former small business owner, the impact that small businesses have in America. We have 33 million small businesses in America. I'm the chair of the Oversight and Investigations and Regulations Subcommittee for that. We're working with the new administrator from the SBA, Kelly Loeffler, to make sure that we get the SBA broken up here in DC. About 30% of the employees moved out into rural areas like the 4th Congressional District of Missouri, where we can provide the capital and counseling that you need to start a small business. Again, press *3 if you'd like to ask a question in our town hall meeting tonight. I'm so excited about this town hall, and *6 to subscribe to our newsletter. We have our very first caller tonight. His name is David, and he is from Lebanon, Missouri. David, what's on your mind?
Hey, Congressman. I hope you're doing well.
Doing great.
Great. So the economy is probably forefront. I'm a big Republican and Trump fan, and really a big believer in the economy. But I've been pretty disappointed the last couple of months, and we're retirees, and our portfolio has taken almost $100,000 hit. And, I keep watching the news, and they say it's transitory, and Trump says hang in there. And, today I heard, hey, if the economy if it doesn't turn around, 26 is going to be tough for the House of Representatives in the midterms. So I just wanted to see, I'm hanging as good as I can, but it's painful.
Well, David, thank you for calling. Stay on the line. I want to make sure I answer your question. But yeah, I don't want to do a Bill Clinton and say I feel your pain, but I do understand where you're coming from. This is a difficult time in our nation's history. The tariffs that are going to be enacted, the reciprocal tariffs in tomorrow or Wednesday. I know the stock market necessarily hasn't been doing great. The stock market isn't always a great arbiter of a barometer, I should say, of what is going on in our economy. Our goal, let me explain this, David. Our goal is to through this reconciliation package, and I hope we get a chance to talk about this tonight, we have got to do something to turn our economy around. We are $36.5 trillion in debt. And if we don't do something, we're going to go broke as a nation. So President Trump, with Doge and Elon Musk and all those other professional men who've left their businesses, we're not talking about students in their hoodies in their parents' basement. These are people who are going in and making substantial cuts. And why are they doing this? Well, we're trying to save as much money as we can for you, the taxpayers, but we're also trying to create an economy where the bond market is not going to get spooked. If we continue adding debt, the interest rates are never going to come down. The idea is to bring those interest rates down, to start drilling and fracking and open the pipelines once again, and to deregulate some of this overregulation that is stifling small businesses. And the plan is within the maybe third quarter, maybe fourth quarter, that we're going to start seeing a turnaround. It is going to be a short-term pain for a long-term gain. I know that sounds trite, but I don't know how any other way to put it. We are going to have to kind of tough it out for a little bit. I like to say, David, do you have a mortgage?
No, I do not.
You have a car payment?
We have no debt.
No debt. I love it. Are you a Dave Ramsey fan?
Yeah.
All right. I love Dave Ramsey.
Yes, I am. We are big Dave Ramsey fans.
Me too.
And we did everything he said, and we made smart decisions. And I'm a retired Army officer as well.
Well, God bless you and thank you. So
yeah.
the average person, though, has got a mortgage, got car payments. Maybe they're saving some 401k, hopefully giving to God. But there's not a lot left over for the average family at the end of the day with a paycheck. Imagine if you got a bill in the mail for $286,000 that you had to pay. Well, David, that is your share of the national debt. $36.5 trillion divided by 130 million families in America. That's about what it equals out to. So we've got to make sure that we're turning this around, that we're finding the waste, abuse, and fraud where we can. We're going to get into Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid later tonight. We are not cutting those programs, folks. No matter what the Democrats say and how much they lie to you, I see it all over Facebook, all over Twitter, everywhere. We are not cutting those programs. We're going to kick people off of Medicaid who shouldn't be there, like illegal aliens. What they've discovered, I think more than 1 million of those are on Medicaid. But otherwise, we are going to try to turn this ship around. And David, I understand your investment portfolio is down. I feel for you in that. Mine is down as well. But hang in there because the sunrise is coming. Thank you, David. Let's go to Dale from Camdenton. Dale, what's up?
I got a question that might be in the governor's hands right now, but FEMA was going to try to remark our flood levels of all the lakes in Missouri, including Lake the Ozarks, and that was going to cost us a lot, but Trump got rid of that. Now I understand it's down to FEMA in Port Missouri, and it's in the governor's hands, and if he lets them remeasure the flood levels of the lake, that is going to tax everybody that lives on or near the lake tremendously. Do you know the status of FEMA?
Sir, I do not. I'm ignorant of that topic. I apologize. I will ask Governor Kehoe tomorrow. Maybe text him and see what the situation is with that and try to put something out on social media. But I don't know that. Since you touched on FEMA, I want to tell you about a success story that we had with FEMA. You know, one of the cuts that was made a couple of weeks ago was to the Missouri Task Force 1 program. It's a regional program which is supported by FEMA. They do urban search and rescue. And I got a call from the head of that because DOJ had gone in and cut that program, the grant program. And the storms are rolling through and they needed to go to Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia to stage for potential storms there. And we were able to get in touch with FEMA and get that grant restored. A lot of what's happening with DOJ right now is that they're going in and making these cuts and then coming back and having to reverse some of them. So we are making the cases to DOJ when those come before us and constituents call. I will fight for you. They're not going to make a right decision every time, but I think they're headed in the right direction. So thank you for that. Hey, we do have a poll question I need to get to. This is very important. Do you support President Trump's America First agenda? If you're on the phone right now, press 1 for yes, 2 for no, and we'll give you the results in just a bit. Again, do you support President Trump's America First agenda? Press 1 for yes and 2 for no. Hey, folks, if you're just now joining us on our town hall meeting, we're excited to have you with us. Press *3 if you're on your phone to ask a question. Press *6 to subscribe to our newsletter. Our next caller comes from Sunrise Beach on Lake of the Ozarks. Let's go to TJ. TJ, what's up?
Well, you may not like what I'm going to ask, and yes, I'm a big Trump supporter. I voted for him 3 times. But if you haven't noticed, our air traffic control system is a disaster. Yes. I was an air traffic controller. I was in the Air Force, and I worked at the FAA. I worked in Kansas City. You know what Kansas City Center is?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I just had a meeting with the air traffic control folks.
Take me along, and I'll tell you the truth. I worked all the arrivals in and out of St. Louis for years. I worked thousands of these airplanes. It's a mess. It's a complete disaster. It's been a long ride. It's been going down for years. Did you know we've had 123 aviation accidents this year so far?
I didn't know that. We just had a story. I was watching the local news here about another near miss possibly at Reagan National, which I landed at today. I understand. Let me ask you this, since you're an expert on this, TJ. What role did DEI play in this mess that we're
in now? Every bit. It's terrible. Go back to Obama. Go back to Clinton. Hillary Clinton walked in one of the centers and saw all white guys and just flipped out. She wanted women in there. She wanted blacks in there. She hated white guys. The problem is the testing, which I went through, was very difficult. It was a 6-hour test. It was a monster, and they found out they couldn't pass it. They just couldn't pass it. We still washed out about 85% of everybody who got through the door, and that's the problem. It takes a certain type of person to do this, and they can't do it. And I've heard the phraseology on many near misses. One guy, his response after they had 2 airplanes heads up and got out of it, he said, "My bad."
Wow.
I said, "What?" This near miss you had the other day was 4 jets going to Arlington, T-38s, which I worked a lot of those at Columbus, Mississippi. They're a trainer.
Trainer jets, yeah.
And it almost hit a Delta coming out of Reagan going to Minneapolis with 130 some people on board. They missed by 500 feet. To give you an idea of 500 feet, those jets go about 750 feet a second.
Yeah.
Just one of them. So if you've got 2 of them, that's now 375 or 1,500 feet a second. 500 feet is nothing. And they told it on the news, which they just lied about it. They said, well, the TCAS went off and set the alarms off, and then the controllers had time to move them. No, they didn't. Plus, they were being worked by controllers. The controllers should never have let them get in that position. They have to be over 1,000 feet apart, and they didn't. They didn't know where they were.
Well,
that's what happened in Reagan National with that flight on the 29th of January. That was a VFR helicopter flying backwards up the arrival track that never should have been there.
right.
Absolutely should not be there. It's VFR, the only IFR aircraft. These people don't know what they're doing, and I'll tell you my big alarm. I don't know Sean Duffy from Adam. He's a game show host. He has no aviation background. And Chris Richelieu has been put in as the director of the FAA. He's a bureaucrat. That's the problem with this whole thing. He's never been a controller. He doesn't know anything about it. And I can sit there and look at it and tell you, this is nuts. What are they doing? And they don't have them trained. They did away with manual separation, which we used to have years ago. Guys said that just kicked my butt. They've done away with broadband, which is the old radar that is the backup system when you lose your computers. These people can't work the systems. Is why they got rid of the system.
Well,
Now,
hey,
you probably
TJ,
want to-
look, I appreciate your information, your passion. I think Sean Duffy's better than Pete Buttigieg. Would you agree?
doesn't have any knowledge. He doesn't know.
Well, what did
anything.
Pete know? He was Mayor Pete. I mean,
He was awful. No
yeah.
question.
So I did meet with I met with the air traffic controllers out of Kansas City. They were up in DC last week. We had a great meeting. Look, they've got to upgrade their equipment. They are working off equipment from, it's from like the 70s and 80s. It's way outdated. I'm on the appropriations committee. Hopefully we're going to be able to appropriate the money necessary to upgrade our system. They have one school in Oklahoma. I'm thinking maybe they need to expand their school, maybe put one in Kansas City as well. We've got to get the best and brightest, get rid of the DEI. That should have nothing to do with who is in charge in the air traffic control towers. Thank you so much. Let's go to Greg from Nevada. Greg, what's up?
I asked the gal a couple of questions, and if you're not involved with these, then I won't waste your time.
What's your
I wasn't
question?
expecting to talk to you. So, do you have any knowledge of what's going on with the Hearing Loss Act? I think it's called, for sound suppressors for rifles. Is that progressing through the Congress?
I have no idea. I'll find out and put something on social media. It's called the Sound Suppressing.
I'm not even sure that's
Okay.
a real thing. It's just everybody's so afraid to say silencer, they come up with all kinds of ways to. And then, have you heard anything about a national, probably a Kennedy question about making ivermectin legal in all the states over the counter?
Have not heard of that. I thought it was legal, but I could be misinformed. I am working with Eric Burleson from the 7th District down in Springfield to abolish the ATF, if that's good news to you.
Well, I think they have their place. I just think they've been a little overreaching. I want to thank you for all you're doing, and if you tell Trump that we love him here in Missouri and quit talking about a third term, because that makes us a little nervous. But hang in there.
I know. Hey, listen, what's that cafe down there? Cafe 54? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
We're in there all the time. So next time, I hope to see you down there. They have great chicken fried steak.
That and the White Grill both. We love them both.
The White Grill, their hamburgers are excellent. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, let's do an online question. We've got to go to our second poll question, though. We had our first. We'll get the results on that. The second poll question for tonight, and again, we're with you for an entire hour. We've already done 20 minutes. When speaking with your congressman, this is a good one, folks. Do you prefer in-person events that only reach people in a single town or county, or a virtual event like we're having now, where we can reach hundreds of times more of you, our constituents, and you can hear what we're saying and we can have a civil discussion. Which do you prefer, the in-person like we had in Belton, or do you prefer what we're doing now? If you prefer in-district only, in-person, face-to-face, kind of a food fight for some people, screaming match, press 1. If you prefer a civil conversation where we're able to answer your questions, press number 2. In-person 1, virtual number 2. We have an online question from W. Taylor. What is your position on Trump's threats to NATO countries? I'm glad you asked. I've been to several NATO countries. NATO has expanded since the 1960s. Look, NATO the member countries have to start paying their fair share. Germany and France are not living up to their commitments. Trump told them this in 2017. Look, guys, if you want us to protect you against Russia, which the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was set up to do, you got to start paying your fair share. Why are these countries not doing it? Greece is, Romania is. Romania is paying a lot more than Germany or France. It's because they believe in the mission of NATO. We've got to get the European countries together to decide that, look, the European continent is worth protecting against Russia and Vladimir Putin. I'm all for that. But you got to pay your fair share. So, W. Taylor, that is my position on that. Jeff Harriman says, I accept people make mistakes, but attacking a reporter after adding him to Signal and sharing secrets isn't right. What do you think? So this is the story about Signal and Pete Hegseth and Michael Waltz, who's a friend of mine. I've met Pete, but, look, they screwed up. They shouldn't have been talking. This was not classified information. It was sensitive information, but it was not classified. I'm trying to find out because you can't go into a SCIF. I go into a SCIF occasionally, a secret compartmentalized information place where we go in and it's lined. You can't take any phones. I can't even take my hearing aids in. And you share information face to face. But in today's society, there has got to be a portal to share information. Signal is a secure portal. That app was deemed safe by someone in the intelligence agency for the White House to use. They used it. Somehow they screwed up getting this reporter in there, and I don't know how that happened, but Michael Waltz said, hey, I made a mistake. Somehow this guy's number got sucked into my phone. I don't know how that happened, but they're going to find out and they're going to correct it. But it's not like the end of the world. No secrets were given away. No war plans were given away. No classified information was given away. So thank you for that question. Okay, let's go to Therese from Rocky Mount. Therese, good evening.
Good evening. And so I know there's a lot of questions right now about how there's a lot of rhetoric and things like that, but there's not a lot of action being done on the back end of this rhetoric. And so so we see a lot of things that are going on that are not right, and there's a lot of people who are taking up the banner and taking the charge, but there's no action. So what can we expect from the current Congress to actually take action against some of these things that are very obviously nefarious that are going on with our republic?
Okay, I want to fully understand you. I'm not trying to argue. What do you see as the main issue that we in Congress need to take action against?
USAID.
USAID?
Yep, the funding of particular entities that are not pro-America.
Perfect.
And constantly feeding, and we have a big rhetoric against it,
right,
but we do nothing about it.
I'm so glad you asked. Hang on the phone in case you have a follow-up. Want to make sure I get this straight. So USAID, I think it came about in the 60s under JFK. It was a program to kind of spread goodwill throughout the world, and to have a level of influence for America and other countries as we started burgeoning as a world power after World War II. but it got misused. Congress did not do a good enough job keeping track of where this money was going to. They would just write a check to this program, and then the people in the program would kind of spend it on what they thought were the great programs. Well,
Right.
that didn't work out too well. We all know that. You've seen some of these programs. Now, I will tell you that I was in the Middle East in October. I went to Jordan, Egypt, and Israel, visiting different military bases. It was all business related, but I visited a couple of USAID projects. One of them was a desalination plant in Jordan. Okay, they take salt water out of the Red Sea, they turn it into drinkable water, potable water, and they put it in a pipeline and take it up to Amman, Jordan. So people ask them, why is the American taxpayer spending $250 million on that? I'll tell you why. Jordan is an ally. They are somewhat friendly to Israel. They are on the eastern border of Israel, and they're run by a king that we met, King Abdullah, and a parliament. And recently, the Muslim Brotherhood has started making inroads in their parliament. They are poised to take over the parliament. 60% of the people in Jordan identify as Palestinians. And so Jordan is fearful that if they don't have drinking water for their people, that there could be an uprising. I think personally, that is an investment in our national security because we support Israel. We don't want to see Israel have another enemy. They've already got one to the north from Hezbollah. They've got Hamas. And they've got the West Bank against them. They don't need Jordan against them. So to me, that is a national investment security project. USAID as of yesterday or today is no more. They have killed that program. All this crap that has been going on for years is done. But I will submit to you that we have got to invest in projects that relate to our national security. I'm now on the Appropriations Committee that oversees or did oversee this program. We oversee the State Department. And I will be fighting for wise, responsible, rational projects that only have to do with our national security. If it doesn't have to do with our national security, we shouldn't be doing it. Does that answer your question?
It does, but I'll tell you this much.
Yeah.
Maui, $700 per person. North Carolina, $700 per person. LA, Palisades, $700 per person. They weren't getting near the amount of relief. And so I'm telling you, so I trust you. Yeah. I trust your intent, but we're watching.
I know.
Because now we're aware. We're aware that, hey, we see the disparity. And so our own people are getting $700 or less, and foreign nationals are getting
That's wrong.
10 times. And so we're watching because now it's been made aware to our awareness that, hey, listen, it's not all as it seems. And so as nice as it is to go, hey, listen, we want to help these foreign countries, we're not even helping our own.
Yeah.
That's where America's at right now, and we are definitely watching with both eyes.
I agree, and that's why I'm against further funding for Ukraine. We have spent more than $300 billion, and they can't account for half of it.
Precisely.
And I have been fighting that.
Precisely.
If you've been following me, you know that Zelensky will not tell us what the end game looks like. He will not tell us what victory. Biden says we'll be there as long as you need us, and we'll spend as much as you need. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're not getting involved in another Vietnam. That doesn't mean I want Russia to win. But when we have people back at home in a 4th congressional district who can't eat and losing their jobs, we've got to look out for our own. So thank you so much. Let's go to William in Bolivar. Before we go to William, press *3 for a question, *6 to subscribe to our newsletter. Go ahead, William.
Good evening. The question I have has to do with rural transportation. Being in Bolivar, there's a lot of elderly and disabled folks down here, and I'm part of a program once a week right now, a grief share program, and two of the gentlemen who are in my program right now are volunteer drivers, to take
Right.
people to transport, to
Medical
to
appointments.
the medical
Yeah.
appointments. They have told us, quite frankly, that the money has dried up and that there is just absolutely no money, and that there are people who simply cannot get to their appointments. And I was just wondering, since you're, on this appropriations committee, is there any thoughts or anything going on to look at the rural transportation needs, throughout the country, but specifically in our district, to help alleviate this issue?
Well, William, thanks for your question. I'm getting feedback here. Let's cut that call and I'll give you the answer. I'll do what I can to look into that. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what grant program or what federal money trickles down, but I will get on that. I would like to see personally churches and volunteers do this sort of thing where they go out and serve. I know they do that with food programs, but look, we need to get back to serving our fellow man. I'm big about service. We've got to help each other out. It's not always up to the federal government and the taxpayer to do that. I know we've become dependent upon that, and I think that's part of the problem. I think we live in the greatest nation known to man, and we are here because of the providence and protection of God Almighty. And I think it's up to each one of us to serve, to do something for our fellow man. And if you can give a lift to somebody to go get their dialysis done or a radiation treatment, do it. Please do it. Be a servant. Let's go to Karen in Osage Beach. Karen.
For taking my question. I'm a legal guardian for 2 mentally disabled sisters, and I'm concerned with the way that DOGE is possibly going to start cutting into Medicaid and Social Security, which is the only income that they have, which is also very minimal. I think they get about $900 a month each, and I'm just concerned as to how how they may go about cutting individuals. Right. Because do I need to have them go to a Social Security office, or how would we know? Because they've been on this for a while, since they've been 18, and now they're in their 60s.
And you're the legal guardian for them?
Yes, I am.
Well, first off, thank you for doing that. I can tell you have a kind heart and you're looking out for these individuals. Do you know of any cuts? Have you been notified of any cuts to their Medicaid or Social Security?
I haven't been notified of any of that at this point, but I have had to update, just out of caution, their housing lease agreements, just to have it prepared. So if anything with that gets cut, that they have a new application to get reprocessed.
I think that's smart.
How you're explaining how they go in and they cut things back, but then you have to fight to get it back, reinstated.
Right.
So we are doing a couple of things proactively like that, but it's still just apprehensive.
I know there's a lot of uncertainty, and I want to talk about that right now because you kind of opened the door to that. Look, one thing that's missing out of this whole DOGE thing, and I've told the White House this, we need more communication when they can give it to us so we can pass it along. I don't know if you saw the interview with Elon Musk and the DOGE team on Fox, Brett Baer, I think it was Friday night. Anyway, it was quite compelling. If you get a chance to go back and look at it, Trump has told them to start using a scalpel and not a hatchet so much. But let me tell you what's going to happen with Medicaid in particular. We are going to find the savings there through waste, abuse, and fraud. But some other things that they're looking at is right now, my understanding is that if you qualify for Medicaid today, and then for whatever reason, you're able to get off of Medicaid, maybe you get better, maybe your health condition improves. That case is not looked at for an entire year. What they're proposing doing is looking at cases every 6 months to make sure that only those who are qualified, I'm not saying you're persons who you have legal guardianship over would not meet the qualifications. But I'm saying that if we have a better system in place that's more accurate and more fair and more up to date, we can make sure that people like your guardians or who you have guardianship over get the care that they need and deserve. And then we're going to get people off who shouldn't be on Medicaid, including more than 1 million illegal aliens. So thank you so much for your call. I know there's a lot of uncertainty out there. We are trying to get the information as much of it as we can to you. So keep on. You know, a good way to do that is to subscribe to our newsletter. *6 is the way to do that. *6. We will have these updates on our newsletter. We will have interviews with people that you won't see on social media, people in the administration, people, committee chairs, behind the scenes things that are happening here in Washington. If you'd like to ask a question tonight, press *3. It's time for our third quarter poll question. Are you ready for this? You think Congress should take action to prevent the largest automatic tax hike in U.S. history by extending the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act? If you think we should extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act from 2017, press 1. If you think no, press 2. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to take 30 seconds and explain it, okay? The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the biggest element to that, and this was passed in 2017, it's going to expire at the end of this year, has what's called the 199A provision, qualified business deduction, where if you're a small mom and pop business, like a lot of you are in the 4th Congressional District, you can set up what's called an S corporation, and you get taxed at a lower rate, like 21%, so you can compete with the big corporations. The Democrats, the progressives will tell you, oh, they're trying to scare you. They're saying this is tax cuts for the billionaires and millionaires. No, it's not. This is a tax cut, right? Really, it wouldn't be a tax cut anymore because it's already in place. It would be an extension of the current tax position that we have in America to make sure that small businesses stay in business. If we don't do this, it will be the largest tax increase in U.S. history. A third of the small businesses could go out of business, and it's going to add an added tax burden to every family of about $2,500 in tax increase that every family will pay in America. Let's go to Charles from Sedalia. Charles, what's up?
Oh, not much. How are you tonight?
I'm good, man. I love Sedalia, by the way.
My question is on the SHORT Act. I noticed that it was introduced today in the House of Representatives. It's the bill to eliminate short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, and a few other firearms from the NFA. What is your stance on that? And I really hope you defund the ATF.
Well, you know, I've signed on with Eric Burleson's bill to eliminate the ATF. I think there's entirely too much overreach. I think when these regulations were implemented, there may have been some reason for it. I don't think that's no longer necessary. I think the educational opportunities that Americans have had and the ingenuity that we've had have precipitated a change that's needed now in the governance of firearms in America. And so I think, look, we know that the ATF has been heavy-handed. There are some great people in the ATF, don't get me wrong, but there are other agencies that can pick up those duties and can regulate firearms without the over-regulation that the ATF is needed, that the ATF has done. Let's go to Patrick in Lebanon. Patrick, what's up? Patrick, you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. What's up, Patrick?
So I'm an Army veteran and a current federal employee. I've been a government employee for the past 15 years. And I'm very concerned about the way we're kind of being attacked by this administration. I'm all for a lot of the cuts and everything. But getting rid of our labor unions and things like that, that's the wrong place to cut. You're hurting the people that are doing the work. And And the problem is bigger. It's in the upper levels where we're top heavy with DEI hires at supervisory levels and heavy contracts that dictate what we do. And coming after the people that do the work every day and getting rid of our unions is the wrong place to cut.
What do you do for the federal government?
I run a IT department for a hospital.
Do you feel like your job is in jeopardy?
I feel like everybody that works with me, we feel like our jobs are in jeopardy because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And cutting off protections from us, like our labor union, that's really the only protection we have as employees.
Well, look, I'm not totally against labor unions. I think they had a lot more use back in the 20s and 30s. I'm friends with some labor leaders out at Fort Leonard Wood, good friends of mine. I understand some of the avenues that they go down to try to protect workers. But I do know this, we have got to right size our government, and this president and the DOGE team is doing what they can to make that happen. I'm sure if you're a valuable employee, you've been there 15 years, I don't think you would have anything to do to worry, particularly about your position. And I appreciate your service to our country. I'm not against federal workers. But I do know this also, that just because you have a federal job doesn't mean that that is a guaranteed job for life. It wasn't that for me when I was in the TV business, the station that I was at. We had 4 different owners in the 23 years I was there. And every time we got a new owner, we got through a duplication of services and automation, people were laid off. It happens every time there's a merger and acquisition. You know, when Biden came into office, I think the majority of the hires that he had during his term were government employees. And it really almost doubled the size of the federal workforce. And so we have got to pare that back. We've got to make sure that the people like yourself who are there are doing a great job, who are leading, and who are able to get things done. And then as we start to pare down and right size our government, that's going to free up the money so that we can get it eventually out of debt. It's not going to do all of it. We're going to eventually, that's only, let me get into this just a little bit. Our budget is made up, we take in $5 trillion, we spend about $7.5 trillion each year. That's a problem. You couldn't do that in your business. You couldn't do that in a household. You go out of business, you'd be out on your tail. You wouldn't have a house left. 76% of our spending is so-called non-discretionary or mandatory spending, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Until we start looking at how we can improve those programs, and that's what DOGE is doing, they're going in and finding the waste, abuse, and fraud. They're making sure that if you're not qualified to be on Medicaid, that you're not on Medicaid. And maybe, just maybe, some have suggested this, and I would go along with this. My granddaughter was just born in November. She's going to live to be 100. Why should she retire at 67? So on the front end and long term, moving the retirement age back, that's going to help us make sure that we have the money there in the Social Security account that we can make sure everyone's benefits are covered. Let's go to Justin in Warsaw. Justin, what's up? You there, Justin? Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up, Justin?
Hey, I'm a cattle raiser here in Benton County, and I'm just curious. I know we're starting to finally reap the benefits of an up market, but
yeah,
you said you was on the agriculture part. How well is Missouri getting held up when it comes up to like Texas, Oklahoma, on our cattle producing here in the state of Missouri?
Well, look, I'm not on the ag committee anymore. I'm on appropriations, but I was just at the Wheeler Auction House over off of 65 Highway a couple of weeks ago. Their business is booming. Prices are up. They can't find enough people to work that auction house. I know the same thing is true over the Herzogs over on 49, Interstate 49 over in Bates County. I think,
Yeah, Mocan.
yeah, Mocan. I think prices are up. I think things are looking good for you guys. You're doing a lot better than our row croppers are right now, who are, these huge input prices that Biden brought about with the inflationary pressures with his war on fossil fuels and the high input costs. And, we've had a couple of droughts in the last couple of years, and that hasn't helped any, although I think the yields are pretty good this past harvest. So I think overall, do you have any anticipation of the prices coming down on beef cattle?
Well, we're looking at a strong market for the next 2 years, maybe, but a lot of it depends on our exporting of our beef and stuff to other countries. Other
Right.
countries don't like United States beef, and that plays a big factor. We rely on our own United States consumers to be able to carry that weight. So I'm just curious, are we keep pushing to have our beef exported instead of bringing
Okay.
in outside beef into the United States?
Yeah. By the way, I was in Paraguay and Argentina. Everyone says how great Argentina beef is. It's horrible, in my opinion, compared to Missouri beef. It's not good. I'm
But
working
we
with.
get a lot of beef and stuff that comes into
I
the
know.
United States from them outside countries.
I know. I don't like that. But listen, I'm working with Governor Kehoe, a friend of mine, and I told him, Governor, I want to help you turn the show me state into the grow me state. We've got to increase our infrastructure. We've got to increase our population. We got to get rid of our income tax. They're going to do that on the state level, but I want to help him increase our foreign markets for our producers like yourself. And so I think there are trips already being planned into some other countries by this administration to where they can go and promote our products to other nations. We have the best beef anywhere, and I know you know that. My brother-in-law raises beef cattle in Henry County. And look, I'm all for it. I will fight for you however I can to make sure the prices are high and that we export as much beef as possible. Thank you for calling. Let's go to Rich in Columbia. Before we do, our fourth quarter poll question. Do you believe there is waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government that should be identified and eliminated to save you money? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. Is there waste, abuse, and fraud that we need to identify to save you money? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. Rich in Columbia, what's going on in Columbia?
Good evening to everyone. Thank you for doing this and give me an opportunity. I've heard a number of veterans on the phone this evening, and I wanted to thank everybody for their
Amen.
service.
Amen.
As a Navy veteran myself, I am blessed to be part of the VA system here in Columbia, which is fantastic. But I wanted to touch bases. I am 100% behind Donald Trump and DOGE and all those efforts, but I just want to make sure the veterans are still going to continue getting the best benefits that we can.
Sir, I am on the Appropriations Committee for Military Construction and Veterans Affairs, and I will assure you I'm going to do everything I can to make sure your benefits are intact and not depleted. And I'm pretty confident that's not going to happen. We're meeting with the new Veterans Affairs Committee. Well, he's the administrator, I guess, a VA administrator, Collins. We're meeting tomorrow with him, right? And we're going to have a discussion about this. And he is adamant that all these stories going around that the Democrats want to scare you. They do it with lies and gaslighting and deception. Unfortunately, I've seen it. I wanted to come up here and just have a fair fight with people and just talk about things and debate things on the House floor, like this past House resolution that we passed a couple of weeks ago. And I was up there debating these Democrats who have been here 35 years, and they lied out their teeth. There was 99 pages in this House resolution, and it had nothing to, it didn't mention Social Security benefits or Medicaid benefits or Medicare benefits. And yet they tried to tell the American people that we were cutting those things. We are not cutting the benefits for anyone who's qualified to be on those. Trump doesn't want that happening. Mike Johnson doesn't want that happening. Steve Scalise doesn't want that happening. And Mark Alford doesn't want that happening. So I'm going to fight with all my might to make sure that doesn't happen. Let's go to James from Marshfield. I was just in Marshfield a couple of weeks ago. What's happening? James, you there?
Hey, Mark.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm here.
What can I help you with?
Hey, I was wondering about since Trump is dealing with the Department of Education, how that's going to affect Missouri schools, and if you guys have a plan in place, is stuff like that moving forward. Are we going to end up with more money? Or
yes.
What's that going to affect us?
So here's the plan, as I understand it. Trump is dismantling the Department of Education. It came about under Jimmy Carter. Congress is going to have to do its part. We're going to claw away money back. Here's a couple of exciting things. I'm on the Small Business Committee, and I'm chair of the Oversight Subcommittee for that. Trump is moving under his executive authority, under Article 2 of the Constitution, moving the student loan program, which is $1.7 trillion, and the Pell Grant program over to the Small Business Administration, where they give out loans. They know how to do that. They got the people in place, all right? They're going to keep the people there who know how to do that. It's going to be, in the words of Donald Trump, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be the way it should be done. And the Pell Grant system the same. The rest of the money that was spent on a lot of overhead and a lot of bureaucratic stuff that really didn't help our students. And you saw where the test scores, I mean, like an eighth grader, only 40% of them read at a 8th grade proficient level. That's crazy. So they're shifting the money in block grants to the states. And then the State Department of Education, DESE for Missouri, will get that money to the individual school districts. And it's going to be much better. Anytime you can have the money to a local level and the individual, and hopefully follow the student, it's going to be much better. And so I'm excited about this. President Trump campaigned on this. Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education, knows that she's working herself out of a job, and that's okay. Let's go to Faye Slater. And then I've got a couple of online call questions. And the poll question: do you believe there's waste, abuse, and fraud in the federal government that we need to cut? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no. Faye from Slater, what's up?
Yes, I'm going to go back and talk about the tariffs and counter tariffs as I see it. And I'm constantly trying to put people's mind at ease, because they're scared. If they're scared around here, they're scared all over the state, all over the U.S., about the economy being going to get worse and worse and worse. Well, I've been telling them, look, it's going to get worse temporarily. It has to be, because once we did put those tariffs in place, thank goodness Trump did that. And yes, and I'm glad they did do a counter tariff, and I'm going to explain why. We will bring back the U.S. jobs that we lost years ago to these other nations are going to come back to the U.S. soil.
Yep.
And it's going to give and it's not going to be overnight process. It cannot be an overnight process. And therefore it would put people back to work. And it's going to be, most of them, it's going to be high paying jobs. So therefore, we've got enough economy in the U.S. to keep the U.S. floating, and also helping other nations, but only after we get settled. Yes. For instance, when the vehicles were taken away in China and other nations, okay, we do some parts here in the U.S., but most of the other parts is coming out of Mexico or whatever,
right,
saying that U.S. made, American made, but they're not completely American made. If we bring all that back to where it used to be all American made, people used to make good money in the factories here in America. It should be that way again.
You're right.
People need to stop and understand that it's going to take a setback, a big setback, before we can start moving forward.
Faye, you need to be on Fox Business News this morning. I was on there, but you explain it a lot better than I do. You're exactly right. We've already seen it. $2 trillion, I think, has been pledged by foreign countries now to build new factories here in the United States of America. Rolls-Royce is even talking about building a car factory here. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but we are going to bring jobs back. We're going to bring our pharmaceuticals back to the U.S. instead of China. We're going to bring our microchips back to the U.S. instead of Taiwan. We've got to make America strong. And I know some people don't like the American First slogan, but what I've said, Faye, to me, what America First means is we've got to be strong so that we can help other people. It's like when you're getting on a plane, you're about to fly out, and they talk about when the oxygen mask drops down. You put it on yourself first before you put it on your child, because you've got to be able to help that child. You've got to be able to breathe. We've got to save our nation and climb out of this debt so that we can be the strongest that we can be, so we can continue to be a leader in our great nation. Faye, you hit the nail right on the head. Let's go over the poll question, shall we? All right, number one, our poll question tonight: do you support President Trump's America First agenda? 82 yes, 18 no. Poll question number two: when speaking with your congressman, do you prefer in-person events that only reach people in a single town or county, or do you like the virtual events like we're having on the telephone and on social media? 74% say virtual, 26% say in person. Poll question number three: you think Congress should take action to prevent the largest automatic tax hike in a U.S. history by extending the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act? 81% of you said yes tonight, 19% no. And our biggest number tonight: do you believe there's waste, fraud, and abuse in federal government that should be identified and eliminated? 90% of you, can I get an amen? 90% believe that yes, there is waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think DOJ is proving that. I've got a couple of minutes left, and I just want to say a few closing words. I know a lot of you are mad at me. I think maybe I didn't handle that thing in Belton. It wasn't supposed to be a town hall. It was supposed to be a Mondays with Mark, where I sit down and just talk with people, and that's what I was hoping to do, like we're doing tonight. I'm sad that it kind of took on what it was, because that was not my intent. And if I was dismissive of anyone, I apologize for that. That's not my style. Because I've told people this. Look, I take this job very seriously. I represent 772,047 individuals. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, politically agnostic. I'm going to fight for you when I can. Now, we're not always going to agree on everything, and I know that. But I want to keep the lines of communications open. When people come from outside of our district, I'm not saying you didn't have a right to be there, it was a public place. And really put a roadblock for me communicating with constituents and answering questions and having discussions, that's not good for us. And my staff will tell you, my wife will tell you, this has been very tough for me, because I love being with people. And I like being liked, but I would rather be respected than liked. And so that's why we're doing this way. We've done like 8 or 10 of these virtual town halls. We have 16 in-person town halls that are going to happen in August. We always do them in August. And if you stay, subscribe to our newsletter, press 6. You can find out where those town halls are going to be. They'll also be on our website. If you want to stay online and leave a message, please do. I appreciate your courteous nature tonight. And as I always do, I'm going to close us in prayer tonight, because I do believe that we're here for a reason. And I know a lot of you didn't like me saying at that meeting in Belton that God has a plan and purpose for your life. I'm not saying God wanted you to be laid off, but I am saying that God is in control. And I would not be here without his providence and protection. And I'm not here to convert anyone to Jesus Christ, but I will tell you this. There's something greater than yourself. There's something greater than this government. Never put your trust in one person. Put your trust in God. God, I just thank you for this time here. Thank you for me just give me this opportunity, the voters sending me here to Washington to sit here and communicate with them. And I just thank you for your gifts, for this great country. And just help us to live up to our responsibilities to each other. Help us to be understanding and compassionate, God. Help me to not be so defensive in a lot of ways when I'm talking with people, and just keep me humble. It's through Christ's name I pray. God bless you. Love you guys. Bye-bye.